Hello, and welcome to episode number 43 of Wrestlerotica, the podcast that combines wrestling and erotica. This week we have two stories to share with you. The first story is entitled Pygmalion. In this story, Robin Green is preparing for her date with Rick Steiner when Missy Hyatt volunteers to help her get a makeover. After receiving a makeover, Robin decides to pay Missy back in a very unique way. Story number 2 is entitled, Sometimes These Things Happen. In this story, Stephanie McMahon is having a terrible day after being served divorce papers from her husband, Triple H. As she is drowning her sorrows away in the local bar, she encounters Eric Bischoff, who eventually offers her a shoulder to cry on and other forms of consolation. Without further ado, let's get to this week's stories. This story is entitled Pygmalion, and it is written by Salamandelbrot. Missy looked at the rumpled green silk with fond amusement. Robin, honey, you gotta learn how to put a dress on. Robin shrugged helplessly, laughing. That's why I got you, Missy. I told you I don't know any of this stuff. Yeah? And now I believe you, said Missy, shaking her head and smiling, trying not to think of how Robin's breasts looked in the shower, while Missy taught her how to shave her armpits. Robin was a doll, but real innocent. She sure was sweet on Ricky, though. And when she'd asked for advice on what to wear for her date with him, Missy couldn't resist making her over. There was a beautiful Italian swan hiding somewhere under all that Michigan duckling fluff.
Oh, shucky, ducky, quack, quack.
Missy could tell. Here, honey. Let me. Missy reached to adjust the dress, smoothing it over her hips. As she reached to tug the side slit straight, her fingers brushed against nothing but the warm, smooth skin of Robin's hip. Hun, aren't you wearing anything under this? Well, with a real glamorous dress like this, you're not supposed to, are you? So you don't get a panty line. Big brown eyes blinked at her. That's what the celebrities do, isn't it? I think I read that once. Missy swallowed hard. Well, sometimes. But you gotta get in and out of the ring, sweetie. And when some little creep photographer catches an upskirt, you want to be wearing panties. Robin blushed. Gosh, I didn't think about that. She stepped one foot up on the changing room's little bench, experimentally, and gasped at how the dress rode up. Gosh! Yeah, said Missy, staring resolutely at Robin's face in the mirror, trying not to let her eyes stray down to the pretty pink pussy that was exposed when she raised her leg like that. Can you help me pick something out? I mean, I usually just buy mine from Kmart, and I don't think that's right. Sure, hon, said Missy, head spinning. We can do that. A few minutes later, after they paid for the dress and headed to the lingerie store across the food court, Missy was waiting resolutely outside the fitting room while Robin tried on a few sets Missy had picked out for her. Missy? Robin poked her head out of the door. I'm not so sure about these. They're all kinda, well, you come see. Missy followed her trepidatiously into the changing room. The lacy black bra and panties were a perfect fit, clinging to Robin's breast and buttocks. I mean, I like how they fit, Robin was saying, but they kinda... She lowered her voice to a whisper and blushed furiously. They kinda show my snatch.
Oh, yeah!
She was right, of course, and Missy shouldn't have been surprised. Girl didn't shave her pits, didn't even know how, so where would she get a shaved pussy? Well, if you like them, get them. You can shave it later, sweetie. Robin peered at herself in the mirror and nodded a little. I like them. Do you like them? Yeah. Missy swallowed thickly, trying to get her voice back. Yeah, I like them too, Robin. Robin smiled shyly. Then I'll get them. This girl was going to be the death of her. Back at her hotel room, Missy sat, fidgeting with her hair, on top of the tightly tucked duvet. Robin had wanted to try on her new outfit right away. Robin leaned out of the bathroom, wrapped in a towel. Missy, could you help me? I mean, the way you did with my pits. I'm scared I'm going to cut myself, you know, down there. Oh, fuck. Missy hoped her alarm didn't show on her face. Well, if you're nervous about it, don't you want to do it yourself?
No! No!
Oh no! I'd feel much better if you did it, Robin said earnestly. She bit her plump lower lip and looked at Missy beseechingly. God! She couldn't resist those eyes. Okay, hun. I'll show you how. Robin sat on the closed toilet seat, looking trustfully at Missy. Okay. Missy swallowed, picking up the razor, shaving cream, and washcloth, and kneeling at Robin's feet. I'll do your legs while we're at it. She picked up one shapely leg and smoothed the washcloth over it. That's nice. Missy made a non-committal noise, spraying shaving foam into her palm and spreading it gently over Robin's calf. She was careful with the razor. She didn't think she could stand it if she cut Robin. Her hands trembled as she moved up, sliding the towel out of the way to apply the shaving cream to Robin's thigh and run the razor carefully over her skin. There, she said, wiping Robin's leg clean and moving to the bathtub to rinse the razor and cloth. That's one leg done. She turned to find Robin with her other foot stuck out coquettishly and smiled. That's right. You know the drill. You want to try this one? Robin shook her head. Okay, said Missy indulgently. This was fine. She could do this. Comfortable now, she fell into an easy rhythm, shaving Robin's other leg for her, feeling the warm, soft weight of it under her hands. She finished wiping off the extra shaving cream, rinsed her tools, and turned to her last task. Robin's knees were spread, and she was looking at Missy with wide, nervous eyes. It's okay, sweetie, said Missy, sliding the towel up her hips. It's okay. She raised the washcloth to Robin's bush, stroking gently down. Robin lifted her hips to give her better access, biting her lower lip. Missy's breath caught as she dragged the washcloth over Robin's pussy, trying not to notice the wetness already there. She squirted a dollop of shaving cream onto her fingers again, gently spreading it over Robin's mons. Her hands didn't shake. Poor Robin was so nervous already. Missy could be strong for her. With gentle, smooth strokes, Missy began to shave her. When she turned away to rinse the razor, she could swear she heard a whimper. Robin's skin was so hot, and by the time Missy got to her lips, she was practically dripping. Missy patted her thigh comfortably and continued working. Her own clit was throbbing, but she kept her hands steady. Okay, she breathed, setting the razor down and picking up the washcloth. Missy wiped the shaving cream away gently, and Robin squirmed. All done. Robin blinked down at her, flushed and out of breath. Thanks, Missy! An impish little smile crossed her lips as she stood, towel forgotten, and pulled Missy to her feet. Okay, shoo! I gotta get dressed so you can see. Missy shooed, giggling like a little kid, and leaned against the wall of the hotel bedroom. Her heart was pounding, and she was so warm. After a short wait, she heard a bright, "Okay, I'm ready," from the closed bathroom door. "Should I come in?" "Yes!" Missy opened the door with a flourish, and what she saw took her breath away. Oh, Robin! Robin was stunning. Sophia Loren, by way of Milan, Michigan. Okay? Incredible! I didn't do any makeup. I don't really know how. Missy smiled. That was her girl, all right. Do you want me to do some for you? Robin nodded enthusiastically, hair bouncing. Let me get my purse. She ducked out and grabbed her purse off the bed. It would be dramatic, she decided, to do those eyes and lips justice. Okay, Robin, close those eyes, she said, giddy. She painted eyes, cheekbones, lips with careful precision until Robin was perfect. There, she breathed. Look in the mirror. Robin looked. Robin gasped. Missy! Wow! Wow! Her eyes met Missy's in the mirror, only looking bigger and softer under sparkling crescents of makeup. Wow! She breathed. an odd little smile on her red lips. "Yeah," said Missy, turning her gently by the shoulder. "Wow." She leaned in to kiss the lips she painted. Robin's arms were around her, sliding over the back of her dress, then down to her hips. "Missy!" Robin spoke her name softly, reverently, sliding a hand around to the slit in front of her dress, lifting it up. "Oh, Missy!" 3 of Robin's fingers pushed her panties aside and shoved roughly into her pussy. "You know?" she said, sounding just as sweet but gravelly disappointed. "I heard some rumors about you, but I never really believed you'd make a pass at your man's brother's girl, Missy." Missy felt like Robin's fingers hooked in her cunt were the only thing holding her up. Robin yanked up hard, palm grinding against Missy's clit. "God, you're dirty." Robin shook her head sadly, even as she shoved Missy's dress higher up her hips, then reached up to yank the bust down, exposing her breast. "Are you getting wet from this?" "Robin," she whimpered. "Please?" "Please what?" Robin raised a hand and Missy closed her eyes, waiting for a slap that didn't come. "Oh, I guess I know." Robin sighed heavily, like she was indulging an unreasonable whim of Missy's. "I guess I know what a girl like you wants." Missy's eyes flew open as she felt the kiss at her jaw. "Is that too nice?" Robin asked, all sincere wonder again. "I guess so. You're not a very nice girl, are you, Missy?" She emphasized her point with another jerk of her fingers, then yanked Missy's head back by the hair with her free hand. Missy could feel Robin licking and sucking a path down her throat, over her collarbone, and onto her right breast. She whimpered as Robin's lips fastened over her nipple. Robin sucked painfully hard, only easing up to bite and fucking Missy roughly with her fingers. "Robin, you're hurting me!" Missy managed, even as Robin's palm against her clit brought her off, shaking. "And Missy, you came from it." Robin released her grip on Missy's hair, but didn't let up on her cunt, working a 4th finger into her and stuffing her hand in, up to the thumb joint. "Gee, I can get practically my whole hand in you, and you're still so wet." Missy slumped against the wall, looking into Robin's sweet, earnest eyes. "I bet you'd let me put anything in you. Anything I wanted." Missy moaned. "Say it, Missy." I'd let you put anything you wanted in me. And you'd come from it." Robin reached up and twisted her already swollen nipple with the hand that wasn't stretching her out. Missy sobbed. "And I'd come from it." Robin smiled that sweet, wondering smile, like Missy was just the best thing this side of Sleeping Bear Dunes. By golly, and yanked her hand out of Missy's dripping cunt. She shoved Missy down roughly, making her sit spread-legged on the toilet seat, where Robin had been sitting, sweet and docile, a few short minutes ago. Robin knelt and pulled off Missy's soppy, useless panties, tossing them carelessly to one side, as she positioned Missy's legs on either side of her, spread wide. Kneeling between Missy's legs, Robin took a long, curious look at her swollen pussy. When she spread Missy's lips with her thumbs, Missy could have sworn she could feel a cold draft inside her. She felt so empty after Robin's hand. "Let's clean you out first," Robin said, with an air of prim concentration. She grabbed the bar of soap, a real one, not one of those hotel sample jobs, and a loofah. Missy watched her, breathless, as she wet the soap and loofah with a bath tap, then turned her attention back to Missy. It felt good. Crude, nasty, but good. When Robin ran the soap over her pussy, soaping up her clit and her folds with overzealous strokes. But she whined when Robin forced the whole soap bar into her cunt and left it there, as if for safekeeping. Robin ignored her and began scrubbing with the loofah. That hurt. It was too rough. Robin was doing it too hard and fast, and it was jarring the big bar of soap inside her. "Robin!" she began, but Robin cut her off. "I know. I'm hurting you again." Robin sighed and stopped for a moment to rinse the loofah. When she brought it back, she concentrated on Missy's clit, rubbing hard and brutal until Missy squealed. And you came again. Are you learning, Missy? She didn't slow down as she spoke, just lengthened her strokes to run almost to Missy's ass. After a while, when Missy was sobbing, she returned to the bath to rinse the loofah again. This time she concentrated on Missy's slit, spreading her lips and rubbing the loofah between them, forcing the soap deeper into her. She pulled back and fixed Missy with an expectant, reproachful look. Well, come on, Missy. Push it out. I gotta do inside you next. Absurdly, Missy blushed. She wasn't even sure what to do. There was a damn bar of soap in her. She tried, though. God help her, she tried. For Robin. Oh, I'll get it. Exasperated, Robin shoved 2 fingers in her, beside the soap, and tried to pull it out. It took her a few tries. Distantly, Missy supposed it was slippery, but eventually Robin got her fingers hooked behind it. The soap plopped out onto the tile floor, and Missy barely had time to breathe a sigh of relief before the loofah was shoved inside her, scrubbing rough on her sensitive walls. Robin leaned forward to suck her clit hard while she fucked her with it, and Missy came again, crying into her hands. After a little longer, Robin seemed to tire to the loofah and yanked it out, tossing it aside. Missy was almost relieved when the next thing she reached for was the shaving cream can, with its smooth, cool metal and phallic shape. Robin removed the cap and arched an elegantly plucked by Missy eyebrow. Slowly, carefully, she guided the can top first into Missy's sore, swollen cunt. The plastic top dragging along her insides hurt a little, but the can itself was nice. Robin was licking and kissing gently around her swollen lips and clit as she pressed the can deeper, and Missy could almost imagine this was the sweet girl who twirled in skirts for her this morning. Then she felt the head of the can depress. Robin! Shh! It's okay, Missy. Robin placed a tender kiss on her hip and looked up at her affectionately. Trust me. The foam was expanding inside of her, wet and sloppy, filling her like more spunk than she'd taken in her life. Robin returned to lapping softly at her clit. It felt like all the shaving cream might push the can right out of her, but Robin held it in hard, keeping the top depressed. The shaving cream began to ooze out around the can instead, dripping on her thighs and pooling underneath her. Play with your tits. Missy leaned back against the cold porcelain, stroking her nipples. Not like that. Robin gave her an exasperated look. The way you like it. Missy didn't bother to protest, just pinched and twisted the way she knew Robin wanted to see. Her right nipple was still wet and sensitive from Robin's biting, and it hurt so bad. She twisted extra hard, crying again and knowing Robin would like it. Robin sucked her clit and hummed approvingly. Missy came again with shaving cream still pumping into her straining cunt. Robin didn't stop, didn't lose interest until the can was empty, and Missy was sitting in a pool of shaving cream and her own juices. Missy tried to keep twisting her nipples for Robin, but she, after her third orgasm, she just couldn't stand it, and let her hands drop to her sides. It felt like there were still a few minutes of shaving cream left after that. As Robin stood, gliding to the sink to wash her hands, Missy finally caught a glimpse of herself in the mirror. Hair a mess, filthy dress scrunched around her belly, covered in hickeys and lipstick, the color she'd put on Robin herself, from ear to tit. Her right nipple in particular, covered in bite marks, a can of shaving cream half up her swollen cunt, and the contents of it all around her. Oh, God! She whimpered. What am I going to tell Scotty? Robin looked down at her with a little shrug. I don't know, Missy. Not that I fucked you. I mean, I don't think he'd believe that. Do you? Missy looked at Robin, pretty, perfectly put together Robin, and back at herself. An image of slutty debauchery that a nice boy like Scotty Steiner had probably never seen the likes of in his life. Maybe in a grainy photo passed around the locker room, the kind where they didn't show the girl's face, because even girls like that had some shame. She bit back a sob. Robin dried her hands and floated elegantly towards the door. Robin? Missy asked in a small voice she barely recognized. Robin paused, hand on the door. What? Kiss me? Robin turned back towards Missy with a dazzling smile. She stepped forward and Missy held her breath, desperate and hopeful. Robin patted her on the cheek. Maybe next time. The end. This story is entitled, Sometimes These Things Happen, and it was written by user Analyssa. She was drunk. She didn't really mean to get plastered, but that liquid that made her feel so much better just kept coming, and she didn't really mind it at all. Her mother hated her. Her father hated her. Whenever she walked down to the ring, that slut chant would rise up faster than King.
I want you to give me a match with these sluts.
During a bra and panties match. And worst of all, Hunter had just filed for divorce 8 hours earlier. A cute, young fellow presented her with papers. A chipper goodbye, and the guy who had just handed her her future was gone. Bartender guy. Another one. She laughed as she held the bottle upside down, showing that her bottle had run dry. Lady! Go home. You've had 8, and it's late. He pointed to the massive bottles that had collected on the table of her booth. Ha! That rhymed. 8. Late? She pushed herself up from her seat and nearly tripped over her feet. Anyway, you better give me another one. Know why? 'Cause I'm Stephanie Man.
Style and grace, I'm never gonna be done. Lean on in. Now welcome to the queendom. The queendom, where the kings bow down. They relinquish the crown.
And I'm a millionaire. Now, put your pudgy little hand in that ice chest before I fling myself over there and get myself one, bastard. He stared blankly at her and shook his head. I don't care if you're the Queen of England.
God save the Queen! The fascist regime!
You're stumbling and laughing to yourself. You're not getting another. She launched herself at the bar, but was stopped by a leather-clad arm. Oh! Hey, Mrs. McMahon. No need to attack the nice man. You really have had enough. He set her against a stool and flashed that stupid, goofy grin at her. I hate you, Eric! She groaned as her back hit the bar. Be careful. We don't need the boss's daughter getting all hurt. Come on. Let's get you out of here. He gently grabbed her hand. What the hell are you doing? You don't care about me. She slurred, shoving his hand away from hers violently and pulling away from the bar, but stopping a few feet away to hold her stomach. Oh, I don't feel well. She leaned against a post. I'm just trying to be a little nice to you, Stephanie. I'm so terribly sorry that my judgment was clouded by the 4 alcoholic beverages I had. Eric stomped off, but came back running as Stephanie fell to the floor. Ow! She moaned as he lifted her up by the arms and pulled her close to him, supporting her with his arm. She laughed as he tried to walk with her. You're short. You're sort of like a midget. Stephanie giggled and tried to tickle his side. Hey! I'm not the Pillsbury Doughboy, alright? Keep your hands to yourself, he grumbled as he pushed open the door to the bar. The air was cold and still that night, and he thanked God that he chose a bar so close to the hotel. He didn't want to drag Stephanie for blocks or wait for a cab on such a chilly night. I'm cold, she mumbled into the leather of his jacket. They had kept a steady pace of drunken stumbling, passing by various closed shops and another bar bustling with patrons. Well, it's your fault that you wore a tank top in the middle of fall. He glanced down at the simple white top and swallowed. She wasn't wearing a bra. He hadn't noticed that before, and he also didn't notice the 2 very hard nipples that poked through the cotton. Take my jacket, he said, quickly as he gently pulled away from her and slid off his jacket and placed it onto her shoulders. She looked over at him and noticed something different about his smile. It wasn't smarmy or slightly evil. It really looked genuine, and just as she finally began to feel comfortable with him, she shoved any idea of him as being a nice guy. This is probably a trap.
It's a trap!
Thanks! She quickly spoke, slipping her arms through the sleeves of his coat. She kept away from him, not allowing him to support her anymore. They passed by a porno shop that had a 24-hour sign flashing in pink neon. She laughed at the memory that popped in her head. Shane had taken her into a shop like that on her 18th birthday as a prank. She had never been so red in her life ever again. A bakery with a cake that Stephanie recognized as one she had had when she was a child for her 12th birthday. As they passed the various businesses, she tried to keep her mind on them, and only them. But it didn't work. Why the hell had he been there? Why did he have to be sort of kind to her? She glanced at him, but quickly turned her attention back to the businesses. She could see the large Hilton lighted sign in the distance, and prayed that he didn't say anything. They had walked another block in uncomfortable silence. He couldn't take it anymore. He didn't like silence with anyone, even with an enemy. Before I send you packing, Steph, can I ask a question? He turned to her while fishing a cigarette from his jean pocket. He offered her one, but she quickly shook her head. What's the question? She asked softly. How the hell can you hold 8 beers in that tiny body of yours and not be in a drunk coma? She shrugged. I don't know. I was always able to hold it pretty well. Was a bit of a lush when I was younger, doing that whole rebelling thing against Daddy.
I said give me a hell yeah!
She was ready for him to open his mouth with some lame joke or diss, but he just nodded his head, taking a puff of his cigarette. They walked another block, and it was her turn to break the uncomfortable silence. She said the first thing she could think of. Your jacket is really comfortable. That was great, Steph, she thought. You're stammering like a little schoolgirl with a crush. Eric smiled another one of those warm, genuine smiles. And all of you wonder why I wear it so much. He watched her and definitely noticed something different about this Stephanie. He could write it off as her being drunk, but he really didn't want to. He wanted to believe that there was something nice deep down in her. Aww. Something good beneath the makeup, the hair, the clothes. So deep in his thoughts, he didn't notice that they had already arrived at the hotel. I guess this is where I say, if you ever want to talk to anybody about this night, I'll rip your balls and feed them to my dogs, right? She quickly said, turning her head to the entrance of the hotel, expecting some awful remark back, but she heard none, just a soft chuckle coming from his mouth. Yeah, I guess so. She watched as he shifted to his other foot before pushing himself away from the concrete. It was a nice night holding up your drunk ass, Mrs. McMahon. They walked on the pathway towards the glass doors of the Hilton. Yeah, it was a nice night, she said sadly. Something wrong? Nothing you'd want to hear. She rushed past him, through the doors, heading quickly for the elevator. Try me, he said from behind. She pressed the button and waited for the elevator. I can't talk to you about this. You're my mortal enemy. He smiled. Mortal? I think that's a bit much, Stephanie. We don't see eye to eye. Especially when you're calling me a slut. She interjected, slipping into the elevator. You know that's part of the whole act, right? She pressed 25 and he followed, by pressing the button for floor 26. She turned to him and took him in for a moment. Sometimes I wonder about you, Eric. Her voice was quiet, and he knew there was something else there. He couldn't put his finger on it, but before he could, she turned her head back to the metal doors. What? Before he could finish, the door slid open, and Stephanie McMahon disappeared. They slid shut before he could react, and presented the hallway of floor 26 to him. He slowly stepped out. Just walk to your room. Don't look back. Eric took a step, but stopped. He wanted to see what was wrong with her. He cursed the alcohol in his head, but knew there was something else drawing him to Stephanie tonight. The jacket. That was a good excuse. He quickly slammed his palm onto the elevator button and waited. Hopefully, she won't try to chew off my head. The familiar ding filled the area around him. He walked inside and listened to the click behind him. He was going to ask about what she wondered about him. The jacket would be a start, and then he would see what else happened. His mind came to a sudden halt when the doors opened and there stood Stephanie McMahon. Your jacket? she said simply, holding it out for him. He first noticed her red nose, and then the crumpled tissue she held in her hand. "What's wrong?" he quickly asked. "Nothing. Just take your jacket." Her voice cracked during the last word, and she couldn't hold it in. "Don't cry in front of him. Don't cry. Damn it." Stupid drunk tears. Everything inside her head was too much. She began to cry in front of Eric. Heavy tears fell down her cheeks, while she rubbed her nose and sniffled. "Stephanie, tell me, what's wrong?" "Hunter served me with divorce papers. I just thought he was different. He cheated on me with that skank Trish Stratus, and he said we could work it out. But oh God, why am I telling you this? I'm not as pretty as her." "That's what. What's so wrong with me? Why does this always happen to me?" She cried, rubbing her cheek with the back of her hand. "I'm just so alone, Eric. My parents are ashamed of me. None of the people backstage even want to look at me. And here I am, spilling my guts out to someone who hates me." "I don't hate you," he said quickly. Far from it, honestly. He was telling the truth. He had done things just to annoy her or hassle her, but he didn't hate her. He really couldn't. She was just another lonely person like him. "Can I stay in your room, Eric?" His eyes widened, and he wondered if he heard right. "Why?" She looked down at the carpet and spoke softly. "I didn't realize that my husband would be serving me with papers tonight, and I had got a room for the both of us. And he took my bags in. I forgot, and I don't have any money to get another room. I just don't want to go in there. Please?" "I don't take up much room." She looked up at him and flashed a quick but sad smile. "Come on." He motioned for her to come into the elevator, and she did. She absently rubbed her face, following Eric out the open doors and towards his room. In the back of her mind, she wondered what people would think about Stephanie McMahon following Eric Bischoff into his room, in the middle of the night, smelling of booze. But tonight, she didn't care. She needed someone. Eric was that someone. He slipped out his keycard, opening the door and holding it open for her. She nodded a thank you as she passed. His room wasn't messy. She half expected for him to have his clothes and stuff strewn about, like her dad. There were papers that looked like contracts along with the briefcase, sitting on a desk in the far right corner of the living room. His bags were sitting on the couch, untouched. "Just give me a blanket and I'm set." She mustered up as much cheer in her voice as she could, but it came out like a depressed whisper. He threw the keycard onto the coffee table, shaking his head. "I'm sleeping on the couch. You've been through enough, so you can have the bed." Eric watched as she gently placed his jacket on his bags. "I didn't expect for it to hit me so hard, you know." She still wasn't facing him. She was studying a painting on the wall in front of her. "It hurt when he cheated on me, and I forgave him. He was so cold to me for a while. I thought he'd get over it and we could make up, but I just don't know. I'm tired of everything. I'm tired of being the bad girl because she's just not me. I don't want to be that anymore." She fell onto the couch and began to cry. Eric hurried over, carrying a box of Kleenex and a sad expression on his face. "You don't have to. You can be the nice girl. I know you have it in you." He sat next to her, resting the box of tissues on his knee. She quickly grabbed one and began dabbing at her eyes. "I don't know if people would believe it. Who the hell cares if they do? Screw the fans. Screw your father. Don't even consider them in your opinions or life. They don't matter. Only you do." He lifted his hand to her face, gently brushing a tear away. "They're not worth it. Not for all the money in the world. Not for the world itself. A beautiful, intelligent woman like you shouldn't be crying her eyes out in the middle of the night over some dumb jackass who thinks that Trish Stratus is hotter than his own wife." He was out of breath and angry, but a quiet voice brought him back to earth. "You think I'm beautiful?" Crap. He didn't need this right now. A vulnerable young woman, so close to him, asking him to reassure her that she was beautiful. He nodded, moving his hand away. "I don't think you're beautiful. I think you're gorgeous." He swallowed down everything that was in his throat. Those pesky nerves. the twinge of something else inside that he had felt with having her so close to him. I always have, Stephanie. Stupid truth, stupid truth, stupid truth, stupid truth.
I'm talking about what the truth is gonna do in Money in the Bank this Sunday. You're not even in the match.
Shut. His thoughts came to complete and utter stop when a pair of soft lips pressed against his in a chaste kiss. She really didn't think about kissing him. It just seemed so natural. He was being so incredibly nice. He had just told her that she was gorgeous, and that he always thought she was. And he just looked so nice. He smelled so good. Maybe it was insanity. Maybe it was loneliness. She didn't know what to think of the kiss in that moment, but she wanted more. She wanted it now and not later. Stephanie turned her body into his, moving into his space. She wrapped her arms around his neck and pulled him against her. What are you doing? We can't, Stephanie. She breathed against his neck, her hot breath causing a reaction in him, so great he hadn't expected it. His hands found her waist, and he pulled her even closer. I want you, but we can't, he groaned. I want you more. Please, tonight. She breathed. She toyed with his hair as their lips joined again. It was gentle at first, soft caresses of pouty pink beautiful lips against his. But the kiss soon turned to possessive nips and lavish strokes of his tongue against hers. They explored each other for minutes. His fingers brushed against the nipples that still poked through her tank top, and she found her way onto his lap, straddling his body, which caused great pleasure to him. It didn't matter anymore. Nothing did. Hunter, her father, everyone had fallen away with a few kisses and some gentle caresses. They broke their bond for a bit. She was breathless, a goddess glowing in the soft light of the night. Her lips were bruised and swollen from their kisses. He didn't know if he consciously wanted to leave a mark on her, but when he saw those lips and their condition, he had caused that. Not Hunter, not anyone else. Eric Bischoff had. The one that everyone loved to hate. Pride filled him as she caught her breath. More! She moaned, leaning into him again. Bed? He questioned. She looked a bit lost for a moment, but nodded. What are you getting yourself into, Stephanie? Think, goddammit. You're going to do something you regret. Her brain screamed out for her to stop, but she couldn't. Stop! Now! You'll only leave a horny, maybe angry Eric Bischoff. She shut her brain down and let her body take over. Stephanie McMahon wanted to fuck Eric Bischoff. She wanted to ride him into oblivion. More of those kisses would soothe her through the night. Nothing mattered anymore. She untangled herself from his limbs, allowing him to get up. She grabbed her hand and pulled her along to the entrance of the bedroom. Are you sure? His voice was extremely serious. He didn't want to stop. He was already so hard from the kissing and teasing. He wanted all of her, every part that she had never showed him before. He just needed her to say it. Oh God! Never been more sure of anything. She pushed him down onto the bed. The mattress squeaked as she joined him. He grinned as she slowly moved up his body, placing soft kisses on the cloth that still covered him. We've got to do something about these clothes that you still have on, Eric. He laughed as her hand slipped under his black tee. She didn't expect for Eric to be a muscly guy, but she was happily surprised when she encountered a hard chest. Nothing too outrageous, but he definitely seemed to take care of himself. She pushed the shirt up and over his head and flung it into a dark corner of the room. We won't be needing that anymore. She flashed him a lust-filled grin as she swung her leg over to straddle him once more. Her fingers played with the hem of her tank, lifting it slowly and back down again, teasing him with views that he never even passed through his mind. She finally pulled the top over and added it to the small collection of clothes in the room. And that either, he joked. Eric reached out for her breast, but she stopped him, grabbing his wrist playfully. She held them loosely with one hand against the covers. Her chest swayed in front of his face as she leaned down to bind his hands. What a view! His tongue snaked out and caught the smooth skin of her right breast. She gasped. Christ! She forgot about the teasing. Quickly she let his hands go and leaned down to his lips. She kissed him fiercely, hungry for his taste. He moved his now free hands to her breast, stroking them lovingly and gently flicking her nipples with his fingers. He swallowed her tiny moans as he kissed her passionately, drinking in the flavor of her. Pure Stephanie. He pushed her upwards, following her. His mouth latched onto her nipple and began sucking her gently. Her mews of pleasure egged him on as he reached for her jeans. He opened the button and slowly brought down the zipper as low as he could. Want more? Her voice was weak and weary. So much more, she cried out as he bit her nipple gently. Are you okay? He asked, concern evident in his tone. She looked down at his face, flushed with excitement. She detected a touch of worry in his features. I'm fine. You just caught one. Special places, I guess you could say. He reached for her again, but she pulled back and climbed off of him. She toed off her sneakers and let her jeans fall to her bare feet. He smiled as he noticed the happy face print on her bikini brief. Her fingers grabbed the top of her panties, but he stopped her. Let me. He moved off the bed and in front of her. Kneeling, he pulled the panties down slowly, revealing a small patch of pubic hair and her dripping wet quim. He moved swiftly, kissing her mound. She opened her legs a tiny bit, allowing him to lick ever so slowly between the lips of her. Oh God, you taste wonderful. Eric looked up at her. She was staring directly at him. Her eyes were filled with passion. It turned him on, but also frightened him a bit. She looked almost feral. His head dove back between her legs. In a frenzy of licking and sucking, she grabbed his tuft of hair and held on. Her legs were buckling as he brought her closer to orgasm, but pulled away, teasing her and kissing away from her bud. Don't tease, she pleaded, her voice filled with desperation. A surge of pride went through him once again, and he did as she asked. He latched on to her clit, alternating between sucking and licking. Oh, yes, she cried. More, 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 she repeated over and over again as her climax neared. With a final lick, she came, nearly falling to the floor in a deep state of bliss. Eric quickly stood. He grabbed and slowly kissed her, her liquid candy still fresh on his lips. I want to fuck you, he whispered, an inch from her lips. Do you have any condoms? He asked, embarrassed. Don't need any. She kissed him again. I'm on the pill, and I highly doubt that your little friend here, she cupped his crotch, is in any way bad for my health. He laughed as he unbuckled his belt, quickly whipping it out from the loops. It does a body good. She giggled as she sank down to the carpet. First, I'm going to take a little drink of you. She popped open the button on his jeans. And I'm sure it'll taste just as good as it is for my health. She grabbed the zipper, yanking it down quickly. Stephanie gave his jeans a tug, and they slipped down to his knees. She actually cackled as she looked up and noticed his boxers. Tiny little happy faces covered his crotch. Oh, someone's happy. She grinned as she slipped her fingers into the waistband. Shut up. He looked down at her grinning face and couldn't be a bit angry. Stephanie wiped the grin off her face, turning her attention back to his boxers. She pulled them down gently, allowing his erection to spring free from the confines of his underwear. He groaned as her hot breath affected him. She looked back up at him. His eyes were tightly shut, and he licked his lips a few times. She shook her head and wondered how he would react whenever she actually touched him. His penis was maybe above average. All the small dick jokes were wrong. He was actually packing a nice one. Her head dipped down, and she gave a wet kiss to the head. Oh! This time she opened her mouth wider, letting the head slip past her lips. Her tongue swirled around, and he grabbed her hair, letting the strands of chocolate silk slip through his fingers. Yeah! Like that! He gritted his teeth as she took him in deeper. His body had been on autopilot all the time. He knew he was getting a blowjob by Stephanie McMahon, but he couldn't believe it. He looked down for a moment to make sure it was all still real. He watched as she slid him in and out, stopping to kiss the top or to lick the little pearls of pre-cum from him. It was her, glorious, beautiful, fucking amazing Stephanie McMahon. He let himself go again as he bucked his hips, and she took all of him in. Fuck! Oh God, yes, Stephanie! She pulled him out of her mouth, poised to slide him back in, but stopped as she heard her name. You're going to have to stop. I can't hold on. He let go of her hair, allowing her to stand again. Eric grabbed her by the shoulders and pulled in her for a kiss. She was here, all his. He led her to the bed, kissing her along the way, enjoying the feel of her breasts crushed against his chest. They fell onto the bed. Their kisses grew deeper. He rolled on top of her. He managed to work his way in between her legs. He brought them up and onto his shoulders. Are you sure? Please. She tried to inch closer to him, but couldn't. He smiled knowing that he was in control. He let the head of his cock tease her folds, gently dipping into them, and then out. He brushed against her clit, causing her to cry out in pleasure.
Oh. Oh.
She whispered again, Please, Eric. He smiled as his name slipped past her lips. He pulled her closer and allowed himself to sink into her. He sharply gasped as he tried to push deeper inside. She was tight. Not uncomfortable, but it made him feel so much more pleasure. Maybe he really wasn't the one in control. More! Her voice was tight, desperate. He took a deep breath, calming himself, and slipped in all the way to the hilt. Oh God, yes! She cried out. The sensations she was felt were ones she had forgotten she could ever feel. Eric pulled out and slammed back in. She gasped. He grabbed her ankles, pulling her butt up off the bed, and began to fuck her at a steady rhythm. She moaned loudly as he began to plunge in harder. Faster! Harder! Deeper! She cried. It was a mantra that slipped off her tongue. He did as she asked. He gripped her ankles tighter, allowing him to get in deeper than he had before. He liked being in control. It really was fun, but he wanted to see what she could do. He stopped suddenly, causing her to whip her head up and flash him an evil look. What are you doing? It's time for you to be in the driver's seat. He let her ankles go, slipping out of her. He settled against the headboard, his cock standing proudly from his crotch. Why don't you drive stick now? Alright. Her voice sounded so far away as she climbed on top of him, setting right above his cock. She hovered for a moment over him. But let him slip inside her quickly. She moaned a happy sigh as he slipped to the hilt. Eric pushed strands of hair away from her face. He studied her. She almost seemed to glow in the moonlight. You're beautiful, he whispered breathlessly. She began to rock slowly, her hips moving in a small circle at a teasing pace. His hands found her hips, gripping them tight enough to know that she'd at least be slightly bruised in the morning. Her cries and his harsh groans filled the room as she moved faster, bouncing up and down faster. He now moved attention to her breasts. He didn't know why he hadn't paid attention to them sooner, because they were beautiful. Not incredibly large, but just enough to overfill his cupped hands, and her nipples were a dusty rose color.
American Dream.
Something Eric always loved. His palms moved in circular motions over both breasts. Stuck in a state of bliss, her head was thrown back, only paying attention to his hands and cock. She was inching closer and closer to climax. Her hands had been supporting her as she rode him fiercely, but now she lifted up slowly, moving her hands down her stomach and to her clit, where suddenly his hand grabbed hers. She looked down and it happened. A connection. She was looking directly at him, not away, and it scared her. Eric Bischoff, bed, fucking, God, so good, so wrong. Her thoughts were a jumbled mess. She was a mess, but she made no attempt to look away. Eric noticed the change that happened on that face of hers. Before she had seemed to be floating away on a cloud of extreme pleasure, but now she looked lost, afraid even. He gently released her hand, mouthing a no. His fingers found what she had been looking for, and began to stroke her slowly. A sharp cry hit his ears as their visual contact finally broke. She clenched her eyes and her muscles contracted around his penis. Steph! His harsh breathing grew louder as her vagina tightened around him. Stephanie wanted to kiss him. She was fully aware of every problem she'd probably run into after this. She wanted him close again. She craved it. Her body leaned forward and he leaned upwards. Their mouths connected again. He swallowed her screams as she did. "Eric, I'm gonna... come!" She whimpered. Her muscles tightened as that familiar feeling washed over her. With a final cry into his mouth, she came. With a few final thrusts and a shuddering moan, he filled her. Groaning as he slipped out of her, she fell onto his chest, exhausted, unsure of what to do next. She couldn't just get up and leave. She had nowhere to go. She didn't want any of the small talk. She couldn't deal with him asking any questions and expecting answers, so she continued to lay there. Her breathing had slowed and returned to normal, but the throbbing was still there, and that heartbeat of his. It was all real. Damn it. Eric was afraid. He didn't want this little woman to get up and pound him, or something worse, like running off and never coming back. He decided to play it safe and let her lay there. Her weight on top of him wasn't uncomfortable at all. It felt good, actually. Not because it was a naked Stephanie, but because it was Stephanie. Although he would never really admit it to himself or anyone else, but he always liked something about her. The smile that she flashed to her brother while getting into the rental car. Whenever he could catch a glimpse of her real face, not the made-up clown one she put on for the world. So lost in his thoughts, he hadn't noticed the deep breathing that she had settled into. She had fallen asleep. Now, he really couldn't move. So he stayed there. He breathed in deeply. For some reason he felt afraid to touch her, as if she was a porcelain doll that would shatter if disturbed. He hesitated as he moved his arm over her waist. He stopped as she murmured something. "What is wrong with you? Just do it." His inner voice was enough to get him to do what he wanted. He gently wrapped a protective arm around her waist. He listened to the sounds of their breathing and the clock ticking on the nightstand. It all felt so good and right. How could any of this be wrong? His eyes shut as he grew sleepier. His thoughts of the future floated away as they both fell into a deep, peaceful sleep. The end. Thank you for listening to episode 43 of Wrestlerotica. If you enjoyed this week's stories, please be sure to like and review us on iTunes, as well as tell a friend if you prefer. Visit us elsewhere online, including Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, and as always, our official website, WrestleRoticaPod.com. Thank you and have a good week.